Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of our SME Playbook webinar, Thriving and Not Surviving. Pleasure to have you all. I hope you can all hear me very well. I've been having a bit of technical issues just right before I was trying to join, but I finally made it, and I'm here today with my amazing panelists that we're going to take on in our very last episode 4. That we've given it a title of What's Next? What's next after all of these 3 episodes that we've been taking you through. So over the past 3 episodes prior to this one, we've been hosting together with Bayi Foundation. So Arielle for Africa and Bayi Foundation have been hosting this series that seeks to prepare African businesses to thrive in this new normal and to go beyond survival mode and to have a very sustainable long-term surviving businesses. So on the first episode, we've looked into IFCT, a step-by-step guide. How can you in trade, like Africa being the first continent to sign the biggest trading agreement, how can we take advantage of this, and what is there for businesses to actually utilize and maximize this resource to their best potential and ability? And then on our episode 2, we've looked into sustainability. How can a business be sustainable, but at the same time also make profit? So what lies at the core of a business? What makes a business sustainable? Is it only having money and making money? Is it that the only goal? Or do you actually do good and make money at the same time? And then over the last episode 3 prior to this one, we've looked into how can you access money, and we've had amazing panelists that took us through this and how you can do it as a business. And today, to finalize and wrap up our webinar series, we're actually going to be hearing from our very own entrepreneurs and alumni and where they're going to go next. So from our entrepreneurs, what are their own action points and how will they get there, as well as getting to know more about their journey, their future. What are the things that they've learned in the past? What are the things that they're going to improve in the future? And what are the tools that are putting in place right now to actually become a sustainable and profitable, feasible business in the future? So we're going to bring back into the conversation entrepreneurs so we can learn from their own and be inspired from their own as well. So right before I sort of introduce our panelists and our George and Sheila, I'm going to give a little bit of introduction into Bai for everyone that's joining us today for the first time on this episode 4 and hasn't been able to join the last 3. If you haven't watched them, please do so. Take time to actually go and watch them, as they're very resourceful and insightful. But a little bit about this collaboration and a little bit about these 2 companies, what they're doing on their own, and where we can actually see the collaboration and the overlap of the same vision that they have. So Bayi Foundation is a nonprofit organization established to build and support sustainable social and economic growth in underserved communities, and by supporting actually small businesses. The foundation is committed to channeling Catholic financing, training, and mentorship to build and support sustainable and social economic growth in these markets through small, medium-sized enterprises, so SMEs. And they leverage on partnership and collaborating with private and institutional investors to do so. This is similar to what Arielle for Africa actually tries to achieve and try to do. Arielle for Africa is a social enterprise with a heart literally for the African youth. How do we resolve this problem of unemployment, of being out of the job, or being without any security in terms of finance? And we do this through entrepreneurship. We do know that entrepreneurship is the weapon to fight all of this. And we do this in many different ways. So we have a passion for creating an employment in the African continent, all over worldwide, and all over Africa. We've so far have been working with entrepreneurs that are based in Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria, Ghana, and South Africa, and we look to expand even more. So now, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our panelists, Sheila, Kogo, Malinga. I will start with you. Welcome to our webinar, and go ahead and introduce yourself, your business, briefly.
Hi everyone. Hi Feruz. Thank you for the welcome. Hello George and everyone watching. Yes, my name is Sheila. I represent Lodge Solutions. I am proud founder and CEO of this beautiful company. We're 1 year old. So, but we've done quite a bit in the past year. A lot of lessons have been learned. Lodge Solutions is a one-stop shop for tourism and hospitality in Uganda. Well, we started in Uganda. We hope to grow around East Africa. The business model is unique in that we try to give all-round solutions to the back office. So it is a B2B business model. We're looking to support the back offices of people who are working in hotel and tourism, offering solutions from anything from how they're doing their marketing, to what purchases they're making for their lodges, everything that is the back office of a lodge or of a tour company. We want to be there to give them the support based on the partners that I've managed to get together, people who are passionate about tourism and hospitality, people who love and have the experience for it. So yeah, that's Lodge Solutions, and that's Sheila.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. Now, going to our next panelist, George Nyutu, President and Managing Partner at Bella Safaris Limited. Go ahead, and George, feel free to introduce yourself and the business that you work on.
Hello, hi all. This is George Nyutu, Managing Director for Bella Safaris. Bella Safaris is a travel company based in Kenya. We do all types of safaris, inbound and outbound. We enable local communities travel outside Kenya and see the wonders of the world, learn from them, and execute back here in Kenya. We also support environmentalists and other people who love nature to come and explore what we have here in Kenya. We sell Kenya we sell East Africa and Africa at large as a travel hub and a travel destination. So you're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, George. Amazing. All right. So now that we have done this introduction of you guys and the businesses that you do, which sound amazing, I want us to sort of dive deeper into, or like dig deeper into how, where did you get this inspiration, first of all, of starting your own business? I think that should be the very first question, sort of to address before we jump into all the other questions that could be beneficial for entrepreneurs to know as well. But like the first the first question that I would want to sort of dig out of you guys is, where did you get the inspiration of starting your own business? Tell us a little bit about your story. So we can start with you, George.
Thank you very much. I'm an entrepreneur by nature, and I have a passion for giving solutions to my peers. So I started Bella Safaris in 2015, and the company has been 7 years old. And the motivation behind Bella Safaris was creating an opportunity for my friend, my very dear friend we schooled together back in the days. And he was not securing any job. And I was actually hosting him in the city. and I didn't know what to do about him. So when the idea of Bella Safaris came in mind, that time we were just doing car hire, taxi services, and lots of use solutions for insurance companies. And at that point, I opened the company and made him part of me as a director, and we pulled together. So my motivation, basically, I believe, was to create employment opportunities
Mm.
for others. Because personally, I feel I was happy where I was. I was employed. I was earning some good money, and yes.
Wow. Wow. That's I've never heard anyone start a business because they want to help a friend. But again, it just brings me back to what majority of businesses like Ariel for Africa and Buy Foundation are trying to do, where we can just solve an employment problem um, through entrepreneurship, because we do have the opportunity of opening our own business and not rely on anyone to make ends meet. But um, not every sort of young person or young people in Africa have that motivation or have that maybe vision or that perspective of I can actually do it on my own. There's always this mentality of okay, I need to educate myself, I need to get a job, and just stay like secure my financial needs that way. And you barely hear anyone actually saying I'm going to start my own business right after I'm done with my university or right after when I'm done with school. You barely hear that. So that's why I want to see. It's very interesting for me to learn any entrepreneur that starts a business in Africa, where do they get the inspiration? How do they get the motivation? So it's really interesting to learn how you got it, George. Thank you so much. Shaila, what about you? Where did the inspiration come and how did it all start for you?
Um, Thank you. So for me, it definitely started during the lockdown. I think for me, I didn't have an entrepreneurship bone in me to start. I was actually employed for about 7 years straight. So unlike my colleague here, I was completely in what I now look back and I'm grateful that I pushed through it. I started to think about this business during the lockdown after I'd actually resigned. A lot changed in the tourism industry. And so I had my kids at home as well, full time. So life literally was turned upside down for me. And I think that when you're in that situation, it's either, sink or swim. So I started to look at how things were moving in the, just when you're home, you're ordering things and they're getting delivered to your home. A lot of things in the Ugandan market were then forced to be put online. So there was access to a lot more of Ugandan stuff that I never even knew was available in the market. And now you're able to see them online. So, having worked in tourism, I worked in the position I was in, I was wearing several hats. So, one day I was doing stuff for procurement, another day I was doing marketing. At the same time, literally, some days you're doing HR as well. So, in that mind frame, I started to think, what if there was a place that someone could actually order everything? Like when I was in that position and I was like, running mad on what to do first. If there was a place where I could have just sent my order for procurement, or if I would have just sent my order for marketing, like I'm going for an expo, I need XYZ, please deliver, and then I can concentrate on something else. Interior design. Tourism really just makes you wear all the hats. So you're interior designing, you're doing this. So I felt like there was a gap in the market where no one understood. An interior designer for a house is very different from an interior designer for a lodge in the wild that doesn't have electricity, that doesn't have water. The challenges are different. So I felt like there was a place where we as an industry needed to go and we speak the same language. Like, I won't give you an interior for a hotel, I'll give an interior for someone who knows the challenges that come with that. if you're looking for staffing, you're not going to look for staff. Staffing out there is completely different. The environment is harsh, so you can't get someone who's working in a hotel in Kampala and throw them out there and think they'll be successful. It's a completely different ball game. So it really started with this convenience of being at home with lockdown and seeing how convenient, just being somewhere where you can do this. I felt like I needed to do this for tourism, and somewhere where people can just come onto one platform and challenge me with what they're struggling with, and then we together find a solution. So yeah, and now that I can't stop. Like, you think I was an entrepreneur before. I love it. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Yeah, it's a beautiful journey. Scary to start, but I'm so happy I took this step.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. I just loved when you said I cannot stop. Now I cannot
Yeah,
stop. That's the place where you want to get to. But
yeah.
trust me, that's not how you feel at the beginning, especially when
No,
there's
not at all.
going on. You'll be like, where did I get myself into? What is
I
this?
know.
What am I doing? I'm out. No, but there's a
I
lot
know.
of things to do, to deal with. You have to go through so much, so many sacrifices, both
True.
mentally, physically, financially, in so many ways. You just are challenged. But
Absolutely.
like, I think that would lead me to my next question, then, guys. Like, let's like, maybe I will just start with you, Sheila, because you said now I cannot stop, but at the beginning it was scary. You said, and a lot of people feel that way at some point, especially when you start something and you say, I'm going to do this. I have a passion for this. I have a vision for this. But the journey is not easy, especially the journey of entrepreneurship is lonely and not easy at all. Sometimes you feel like you're mad and you just the only person trying to do this, and like one, and it can feel scary, like you said. What made you feel scared? What was scary about the journey once you started it, and what were the challenges that you were like, oh my god, that brought you down to your core, that you would like to address now for any entrepreneur that is wanting to start but cannot,
Mm.
doesn't have that courage and bravery to push through?
I think you said it first. The biggest thing is realizing and knowing in advance that it is lonely. Like, I cannot explain how that is. It's completely lonely. Like, and especially when you come from employment, I think it's even lonelier because you see, as you're employed, you're in a situation where you almost have a buffer or protection around you because any mistakes you make, sorry to say, falls on your employer. Like, they'll always like hold you and be like, there's a support system. But when you're out here alone, you're literally starting, unless you have some absolute crazy funding to start. You have no accountant, you have no procurement, you have no marketeer, product development, everything is on you. So you can feel that pressure. And you start with your first post on Facebook or on Instagram because everything now is definitely on social media if you want to succeed. So you take on the challenge and you start that page, and you get your logo done and you're confident, but then you don't get a single like for like weeks, and you're like, oh my god. And you are so happy, so confident coming on this social media, and you're like, they're gonna love this, it's new and it's fun, but literally dead silence. And it goes on another day and another day and another day, and you do get that point where you're like, am I talking to myself? Does this make sense to anyone else? But you're also in that position where you've started, like, you've paid for registration, you've paid, money has gone into a website, money has gone into branding, you have like, you can't. And then there's that also ego where you have decided to start this, so there's that ego. And I think even more for a woman, where even men would ask me, are you sure you want to start a company? Like, it's not easy. So I think a lot of it has got, the first part is so mental. My biggest challenge was just getting through that mental space where I would tell myself, no, Sheila, you have to believe in this. Like, there's a reason why you started it, and so just go with it. And I think for tourism, at least in Uganda, I guess even the world, was another challenge on top of all this, was that you're facing lockdown and COVID. So you're in a market where people are scattering, and here you are starting a company in the same industry where people are almost closing down. So I feel like it really strengthened my mind, that rough start, because now I'm fearless. Like I really feel like whatever, like it, don't like it, I know the people who are watching. I have a few clients now, so I have that internal confidence now. So I could literally post every day and not get a like, which is fine. But now I'm there. I started with zero, so I think, yeah, it's definitely been a learning curve.
Amazing to hear, and I hope other entrepreneurs that are in the same shoes that you were before, where you felt scared, challenged, and not mentally ready. Um, that right now that they are getting that inspiration from you, that it is actually possible if you push through, and if you, like you said, mentally like tell yourself, I have to believe in this and I will do it no matter what it takes, and
True.
prepare themselves for all the challenges and sacrifices that are come to come. George, what about you? What would you say were, of course you said that maybe personally you were at a stable position, but to also start a business anyway from scratch has its own challenges. And how did you, like, what were those challenges from your opinion, especially when you're founding it in together with someone else, and how did you overcome them?
Wow. I was just listening to Sheila, and I was wondering. So all these challenges they cut across all this mental space and everything. I was just listening to him, and I was like, "Are you talking about me, or you're talking about yourself, Sheila?"
Trust me, I
Yes.
had that same feeling. I was saying the same thing.
So for me, the greatest challenge is that mental space you're talking about. Sometimes you feel that people around you understand you. You feel like people around you are going to support you. You feel like they know what you're going through, and you end up not even expressing yourself. So in many a times when you before I realized I was alone in this journey, I was quite frustrated, very very frustrated. At some point, you make wrong decisions, wrong moves. You make losses. Sometimes they are the heydays. You end up getting blame. You can't shift blame. You are everything. You are the marketer. You are the salesperson. You are the accountant. You try to push blame. You can't push it to anyone. So you end up being in your own cahoots, or you feel like you're isolated. All right, and yeah, it's a very frustrating journey, but you have to focus because there is no backward. There is no moving backward. You can't pull off. You can't take sideways. You just have to focus on your vision. Yes, if you decide to get into the mud, you have to make sure that you are ready for it, and you learn through the process. Yes, and no one you, however excited, however deals you get, just know the excitement is yours and yours alone. Yes, the only people you see outside here, sometimes you think they are doing so well. You find them smart with notebooks in meetings all over, but what they are going through internally is quite heavy, just very heavy. Yes. So
Wow.
in this journey, it's important to note that even those employment that you're trying to secure out there, the big companies, someone, either a chairman or the founder, had a pinch for it many years ago. Yes.
Wow. That was so deep, and it just puts so many things into perspective, and it makes it look like sometimes, because what you just made me realize, George, with what you said, was sometimes people think, oh, I'm the co-founder, or I'm the CEO, or I am the founder of this. People read the titles on the on your profile or on your bio, and they just automatically think that you're just the super woman or superman, and you're everything just happened for you like a magic. They just don't see the iceberg that is below, and what you had to go through to actually get to that point and to earn that title. And
True.
it's so easy to be called a CEO or a founder, but or a chairman, and to sit at these tables. But like the hard work that goes behind all of that, like you said, it just people don't see it, and it makes me it relieves me when I hear you say it, and I just sort of can relate to the same challenges as an entrepreneur at heart, and I'm sure many other entrepreneurs as well. Because I hope they see it, because right away what you see is like, oh, I'm gonna have a business and I'm gonna be the owner. You just see the big things, but you just oversee, or you just completely do not see what the work that you have to put through in it to actually earn that title. And you've also mentioned, you've touched upon one very important point that I think needs to be created awareness around, is entrepreneurship depression. I don't think you went that low. I don't think you went that low in terms of being depressed, but there is something called depression in entrepreneurship. And so many people or so many entrepreneurs are even oblivious about that, and they just think, oh, it's just because I'm alone, or it's just because it's a tough journey. But you can actually get into a depressing mode where, like you said, sometimes you even make wrong decisions, you take the wrong moves, you just feel frustrated, and you blame yourself for every loss that you make, for every wrong decisions that you take. That is a very important point, and I just want to make to I'm just iterating that again, simply because there are a lot of entrepreneurs that feel that way, and they just think they're alone in it. So thank you for bringing that one up, George. And can you just touch upon a little bit on how did you overcome that? What steps did you take to actually push yourself through it and say, you know what, I need to change my gears, and I need to get out of this wrong moves that I'm constantly taking, and out of this frustration, and just start to make the right choices? How did that happen for you, so that it could help other entrepreneurs out there?
Yeah, there is, while on this journey, I want to just, I want to give you a short story. This year in April, we had our second lockdown, and I had so many bookings and a lot of money withheld in our accounts, and also our partner accounts. And at that point, when the president announced the second lockdown, it was on 29th of March, and we were looking up to the big Easter holiday. I looked at my employees and I just wished I were them at that point. I just, it was very, very, very traumatizing. And it's at that point when I realized that it's important to look for a mentor. That's number one. Number two, to look for a partner who you once in a while you will consult at your level. Um, and also get a senior consultant in the industry, or a peer who you can share ideas with. It's very, very, very important to talk to these kind of people, to just feel how they went through their journeys in their times. Because during this COVID time, it has been the worst for SMEs. Yes. So
Wow.
for me,
Yeah, yeah.
for me, I had to go looking for people who have made it in the industry, talk to them, listen to what they're saying. I had to go looking for Buy Foundation to just have a conversation and get hope. You know, even when you are in some of these trainings that we go, you exchange a lot with other SMEs and entrepreneurs, and you learn a lot and you get comfort, even in this forum right now. Like I said in the beginning, Sheila was talking, and I was wondering if he's talking on behalf of myself. Yes.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, George. I think I even noted them down myself, so that I can, when we wrap up later on, I just say them again. the specific solution tools that you use to get out of that and to actually cope again, like you said, and to push through and succeed again. Sheila, um, I want to take this conversation to you as well, and especially because you're someone that started a business during pandemic. A lot of businesses were closing during that time. You started it during the actual pandemic. Um, did you ever get to that point of like I'm done, and where you just felt frustrated and angry at yourself and you blamed yourself and you wanted to go out? And you got to that almost depression mode of entrepreneurship, and how did you put, if you did, how did you pull yourself out of it?
Yeah, I think you'd have to be made of steel not to have those moments. And yeah, he's as he says, it's very comforting when you do speak to other entrepreneurs. You also talked about it earlier because when I would do some sales calls, you meet entrepreneurs who are now like senior. You know, these are guys who have done 30 years of this, or in whatever capacity or whatever industry they're in, and they're sitting and they're telling you, you know, they can relate, and you're looking at this guy who's sitting behind this big desk or driving this big car, and you're like, really, can you really? And completely it comforts you. I think there's definitely speaking to other people, as I definitely think he also mentioned, is that you're able to speak to other people and hear that you're not alone. Another thing for me is God. Like, I seriously get to the point where I just pray. Like, I think because I also have my babies at home. So I spoke to Nick actually about this on my Founders Live, and I was saying how running a home for me has been very similar to running my business. Been put in a situation where, of course, you have children who look up to you, and they don't see anything but mom smiling. They don't know what's going on behind. I really feel it's the same as running a business. You have all these needs, and they need you, and there's no way that you can just like, oh, I'm out, you know. So I think I put myself in this mind frame of this business is like my baby. It's one of my children, and I can't just be like, I'm not in the mood today, or like figure it out yourself. I really think for me personally, I came into my own as a parent, as a mother, because now they were home full time. Before I was um, in a working environment. I don't even feel like I would just go with the motions. I had a salary at the end of the month. You make mistakes, you recover with the next salary. But in this case, I think it really took a lot to just stop and just say I cannot give up, and pray, because sometimes praying for me really helps. You wake up in the morning and you were so down the day before, you were out, you were like, but you wake up the next day, and somehow that one call comes, or that one like, literally a like or a share, and you're like, oh, okay, there's life out there, someone sees me. And I can only attribute some of those moments to God, and that prayer that I said the night before of, am I really going, did I make the right decision? Should I have continued in employment? So yeah, it's a bit of
Wonderful,
both.
wonderful. Like I just love how we all face the same challenges and we have different ways of dealing with them and just picking ourselves up again and just pushing through. So, and that's where this sort of conversation, this sort of webinars, especially hearing from entrepreneurs themselves, for me, is beyond anything else, because they're the one going through it firsthand, and they're the one that are going to give me the skills and the tools to push through. So hearing this
True.
from you guys is really, really inspiring and super insightful. And I'm sure all the entrepreneurs that are watching right now are learning from you guys. Okay, so before we sort of wrap up our questions, I had a couple more, and we will jump into a few questions that we do have on the comment section. So I want to say, like, as an entrepreneur, when you start out, you don't have any written formula. There's no one telling you this is how you should do it. You figure it out by yourself, but at least there should be, I say, common ground as to when you start you should be aware of. So what are the common things that you need to be aware of as an entrepreneur when you're first starting? And more importantly, what are the common mistakes entrepreneurs, in your opinion and from your experience, make when they start out? So in that sense, what are the things you realized later on and you said, oh crap, I shouldn't have made this decision. I should have known about this before, or I should have researched this before I did this, before I took this action. What are the common mistakes that you think? You can name as a few, or if you at least have one of them that you say, this you should be aware of and you should really take into consideration. It's a common mistake in your opinion. George, we can start with you.
Mistakes in entrepreneurship is being overconfident. Um, Sometimes being overconfident brings about being overambitious. And when you're overambitious, you don't listen. You don't listen to people, you don't listen to experts. That is one of the greatest mistakes that I ever made. I never engaged experts, and I thought my brains are the best at that point in time until you start making mistakes one by one, and then you realize how important experts are. Don't shy away from engaging experts because experts in the various fields and industries is very important. When building a business empire, you have different departments and they have to pull together to produce results. And when you are all of this in one, um, it's quite a challenge. That's why even however much the driver of a truck is experienced, he can't drive without side mirrors and rear mirrors. He needs assistance at some point. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So being over ambitious and not listening to experts or not consulting with experts when it comes to certain decisions. Well done. It's also one of the things I and Edith had to learn along the way when we started Ariel. There's always, especially when it comes to investment or money sort of decisions, we were supposed to be like, oh, do we take that decision or do we ask other people? Let's ask other people also. Because there are people that are more expert than you and they can just be like, no, guys, what are you doing? What? No, don't do that decision. And they can actually guide you through that. So, yes, like involving experts, especially in key decision making times, and listening is really important. So thank you, George. And I hope entrepreneurs, you hear that and you take that in. What about you, Sheila? What are in your opinion, the most common mistake an any entrepreneur does and should not do, in your opinion?
For me, definitely, this was like deep for me was you don't have to feel the pressure that you have to have everything ready. You know that I can't start because I don't have a website, or I can't start because I don't have this. I think you can have a great idea, and then in that stalling, you can become your own worst enemy in trying to get everything right before you start. So I got to a point where things like funding, you're like, will I be able to pay anyone? And so you want to be able to get a loan. There's so many, you can become your own way, get into your own head. So I feel like sometimes just start, even if it's a page you're going to open, even if it's writing down the business plan, like just start, literally just start, and it sort of like just starts to work like a snowball, and it'll just pick itself up as it goes. And another thing I definitely learned as well was very early on, or maybe a bit later also, was that strangers. I think I wasted quite a bit of my first chunk of my entrepreneurship life going to what I knew. So as soon as I launched, the first thing I did was approach people that I knew, and I was like, oh, of course they're going to support me. They know me, they worked with me, they know how I work. It's going to be a breeze. I'm going to have orders tomorrow. No, it doesn't work like that. I'm going to tell you this. It is the worst wake up call ever. No phone calls not answered. They won't even be the first one to like that page. So the first thing I learned or what I would tell anyone is actually go to the strangers, like literally search for random companies and make meetings with their CEOs and their teams. You'll be surprised how much business, like for me, has come from complete strangers who've inboxed me on Facebook or on Instagram. But I wasted almost 3 months of my first 4 months, knocking on doors that I thought, they know me, I would hustle so much. So I feel like don't fear, don't go to the easier option. You waste time. Just start. I mean, you can try, but I don't know what you guys feel, but I felt strangers gave me a lot more support.
Amazing. I think in that I would support you. And I think that one, it has to do with just this, because personally, I would debate that, saying that here in Europe, when you start business, they tell you go with the people you know, like go to your people that you know about. And that's because I think here people are more supportive in that sense when you start a business. I don't know. But personally, from what we've seen in from what we've gone through Ariel for Africa Main Edit, we literally had to do business development using LinkedIn and meeting random people, new people that we've never seen before. We've had businesses come through them than with people that we knew, even in, especially
Absolutely.
in certain things, you think people that you know and that are your friends or your family or relatives will support you. Majority of the times they will let you down, and that's not because they have any personal
Mm,
issue with you, but
no.
that's just because they, I don't know, it's not there yet. So
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, spend time in business development, in sourcing other people and other
Correct.
clients from another place. So that's definitely a really good tip. So thank you, Sheila. All right, so we're gonna wrap up. I have two more questions for you, but I want to also for us to take time to go through the chat questions that are on the comment section, on the chat section. So before we go through the comment section questions, one question I want to ask you: what are your future plans for your businesses? Where, just in easy, what is the vision? Where do you see your business? I don't know, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years? And what are the tools you are putting in place to get to that point? Because we're talking about not just being a company that can make it, but can actually make it through this disruptive um, phase of like living through this new normal, like pushing through it and actually making it at the end of itself. So, what are the tools you guys are putting in place to get to your vision? And what is the vision? Where do you see your business in 10 years, let's say? Who wants
Wow,
to start? George, go ahead.
that's a good question right there. Every entrepreneur has a vision, and it's what drives you to go every day. You wake up in the morning, you will sleep late at night. Sometimes you lack sleep and start thinking uh, of what to do next because this has not worked. But the future is very bright, and you can't skip uh, stages so that you can be like the largest company in your area. So for me, like I said, my greatest achievement will be to create equal opportunities for all, to make sure that my company is the best company to work for, to make sure that I give the best for our clients, and the best I mean good quality services, and also um, focusing on good health and well-being of employees. So when I get there, counting over 10, 20,000, 100,000 employees, and they are doing well, that will be my greatest achievement. When I see, of course, my brand with zero customer complaints, I know that's being over ambitious, but yes, it's my it's my target. Yes.
Amazing. And what would you say are the tools you're putting in place right now? What are some of the things that you're putting in place that could also help other entrepreneurs put in place?
Of course, one is strategic partnerships with other brands. See how we can collaborate and work together to achieve those goals, some of those goals. Of course, number two is technology and innovation. Uh, you understand today, without technology, you're not anywhere. as an entrepreneur. So technology and innovation is part of that. And number three is the expert advice. Consultants engaging with experts in various fields of work to build a brand. Those three items are very key for me in the next 5 years.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. And I hope this has shed some light to entrepreneurs, especially strategic partnerships are one of the key things I also believe in hardly. So, yeah. Shaila, what about you? What is the vision and what are the tools you're putting in place to get there?
So, as George said, we are quite similar, I think, in this entrepreneurship world. You do want to make a difference, not just for yourself, but I think because you personally walk through what it is to go from zero, you're dealing with a lot of suppliers. You can see they're also hustling to get those clients. So it's almost like a chain of all of us trying to help one another. So I would definitely want to get to a point where, for me, who also works with suppliers, I would want to get to a point where I'm able to give them more support. So when I work with my suppliers, you can tell they have gaps, like in terms of technology, the same way George mentioned. Some of them need equipment. Some of them, so they're not able to do the right packaging. And in the tourism industry, there's some, if you're serving the international market, there's some things you can't get away with, insurance and things like that. But they have a fantastic product. This is someone who you can see if you make a strategic partnership with, you can really grow. But the only thing hindering them is maybe something like a certain machinery that will make them work faster or things like that. So I see myself being able to get more funding through strategic partnerships and be able to work with these suppliers to get a finished product that meets the international standard, but without having to give up on them. And then you go to like a bigger supplier, but who doesn't have those no, those little intimate attention to detail. Sometimes you end up leaving them just because they don't have everything put together. So I really want to be able to support them and then jointly have a mutually benefiting partnership. I definitely want Lord Solutions to be the Amazon of East Africa, if not bigger than that. I see it not just in Uganda. I see Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda saying, "Hey Sheila, we need beds. Hey Sheila, we need interior design. Hey Sheila, we need," and it won't be Sheila now. I'm hoping it'll be this big team of just Lord Solutions. I think I also want to get to that point where I do have such a team that you can't tell that it's Sheila who's running it or who I've managed to pass my passion into all my staff members, that even if you're dealing with whoever, you still feel the same love for the company, and that I'm able to give them that support to keep them with me as long as possible, and then still find a way to support their growth. The last thing where I see myself is definitely owning or running, because George is going to need lodges to take his company, his clients to. I see Lodge Solutions owning a chain of lodges where we have been part of their growth. We have, done their procurement, we've done their interior, we're in there doing their HR, their training, their marketing. So I see myself having the company having a chain of lodges that we are proud to present to the world, and that we managed ourselves from start to finish.
Wow, that is so um I don't know, I don't even know. That's just so phenomenal in terms of how much you've thought through the vision that you have, and how, as well, I would say, compassionate, because you're not just being selfish and thinking about yourself. How do I make this uh, my own sort of ride and thrive? But you're also thinking about the communities around you, your employees, your partners, your suppliers, and your customers. And that is so wonderful. And that's, I think, the beauty of a true leader and an entrepreneur, where you should be thinking about all the other stakeholders involved around you and not just yourself. Great. So I think we have two questions in the comment section that I have seen, but everything else is like good vibes. Really commending you on the amazing job that you guys are doing. So really well done. So we have a question from Quinta saying, how do you determine as an entrepreneur what to venture into?
Sorry, could you say that again?
So the question says, how do you determine as an entrepreneur what to venture into? So if I'm understanding it correctly, like simply, how do you figure out which, I don't know, business route, which market to enter, which solution or which product to sell? How do you determine what to venture into, what type of business to open? I know it's a very broad question, but if you can
Yeah.
give them
I
a
think
bit of
if I could, I would. It's definitely a very, as we've been talking about, it's a very personal journey. It has to be something that you won't give up on along the way. So I would say if you're looking to venture into something, um, it has to be something that you definitely either have some experience on, or have a huge passion for it. Because as we mentioned, there will be difficult times when you might want to give up, or the world pushes you to. So it has, for me, what helps me, or what when I was thinking about this, it was something that I knew I could add value to, and I could grow it, with partners, or by myself. But you know that this is something that will, is in for, you're in for the long run.
Okay. What about you, George? What would you say on that one? I don't know if we have George or if we lost him. I think he's having difficulties with the internet connection.
Yeah,
Um,
he's back.
yeah. George, do you have any input on that one question?
Sorry, I had lost internet a little bit. Could you repeat?
Yes. So the question is, how do you determine as an entrepreneur what to venture into or what type of business to open?
Correct. First, there is what you love doing as a person. That will determine what you need to do. Because if you're passionate about something, you'll always find, however flooded it is in the market, you'll always find your way. Your mind and spirit work together to find a way of getting at the top. Unlike venturing into something that you're not passionate about, you'll keep swimming and swimming and swimming and swimming, because uh, part of you does not like it. Part of you is doing it for because you need to do it, and entrepreneurship is about also solving problems. So if you have an idea that does not solve problems to Kenyans, then that will be a challenge. And also, like I said, if you have an idea that you really do not like, or you're firefighting, you have lost job and you're trying to look for something to do, well, it's also a challenge. Yes,
So basically, make use of every single challenge as an opportunity to open a business. So
correct.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I hope that question is answered, and it's amazing. So every problem is an opportunity for a new business to try to come into the market. So we will take one last question, and then we will wrap up our session as we're running out of time. So quickly respond on this one, guys. They're saying, while starting out as a business, is it as advisable to use debt or capital? And I picked this question because it's really, money is really deep and important. So what is advisable in your opinion?
For
Go for it.
me, I
Um, Sorry, Sheila, ladies first.
Yeah.
no. I think I stayed very far away from having any debt. I was very uh, aware that this was something I was starting on my own, and I wouldn't have been able to have any, anything to lean on yet. So I feel when I started, I was very aware of, at least having enough to just register, start, because there are things like that are free. Starting a website, there are free ways, with like Wixit. There are things that you can get away with for free. So there are free websites. There's free social media that can even work as, your platform or your website. So for me, I personally, I was very wary of trying to get into any debt especially in the beginning, because you're testing the waters. You don't want that extra added pressure of someone going, okay, so where's my money? And so no, I stayed clear away from. I just started small, and then now I'm starting to look at, now that I've been, I know where the gaps are in my business. I'm now trying to think of where would I need support and how to approach it more carefully.
Amazing, amazing. So when you start off, try to shy away from that, but as you go, then
Yeah,
you can start to consider. Yeah. What about you,
yeah.
George?
Um, being when you're trying to venture into business, like I said, one of the greatest mistakes that you'll ever make is to be over ambitious.
Oh, I think we lost him. Oh, I think we lost George. Or is it just me, Sheila?
No, it's stalled. So
Yeah.
maybe his
So,
internet is just.
yeah. Okay. I hope he will join us in a couple of minutes that we have left. But yeah, I mean, yes, we're here.
Yeah.
George, can you
Sorry
hear
about
us?
that. Yes, I
Don't worry.
can.
Don't worry.
I was saying that one of the greatest challenges, one of the greatest mistakes to do is to be over ambitious. So I normally advise that you start with what you have. Over time, you will need that debt for a capital, and it might be,
Yeah. True.
you might realize that at some point maybe you don't need it, but the future, as you try to grow your business and expand your wings, you will need that debt. And once you start with the debt, you might mess up along the way, because also remember you need expert advice on some of these things. So you end up taking debts in the beginning, and you start making, because every journey has its own challenges and mistakes to learn from. So it's never it's never a smooth ride that you can just go and start a business. And so you can imagine starting off with a debt, and then you start getting into those bumps. You're done. You get into depressions. Yeah.
Direct.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that input. Of course, this is based on your experience. So I hope that question was answered to you, Quinta. There are as well, I think, one question that you can say yes or no. They asked if you guys have employees working remotely, or do you need to have them locally? Both of you, yes or no?
I do.
Um,
Yeah.
I used to, we used to, uh, from April all the way, April, May, and June, we were working remotely, but now we are working internally.
Yeah. So it's possible. I think that's
Yes,
the
it
question
is.
that they're going to ask
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is.
you.
it's
And
possible, very
with
possible.
the new age, it is. You can imagine in Uganda where children are still at home, so you might miss out a good person, but just because they can't come to work, but they can work from home. So yeah, I'm definitely for it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. Like, we're running out of time and we need to wrap this one up right now. But this has been super insightful, super beneficial. Like, I personally learned a lot, and I'm sure every single person that joined, whether it's an entrepreneur or not an entrepreneur, wanting to venture into entrepreneurship, has learned something from this. Please, guys, if there is anything that you took away from this session, is that it is possible to open your own business. It is possible to be sustainable. It's just that you need to be ready mentally, and that you need to prepare yourself that this is going to be a journey, a challenge, but with resources that are around you, like mentorship, experts. And if you surround yourself with the right people, you will be able to make it. So I hope you guys are inspired. I hope you guys are encouraged and motivated, not to just open a business and live there, but also to thrive beyond it and thrive in this new normal. Sheila opened a business during pandemic, and George showed us how he was able to overcome all the challenges and actually he got to the lowest point. He picked himself up from that one. So this is like the right place to actually learn on how you can run a business that's not only making it but thriving and survive, not only surviving but thriving and making it in the long term. Thank you so much, George. Thank you so much, Sheila. Thank you so much, everyone that have attended this webinar today, and also this series. And we hope to come in the future with similar webinars that are informative, inspirational, and I, on behalf of Arielle for Africa and the Bai Foundation, I thank every panelist that was part of this webinar series. Thank you so much and have a lovely day. Have a good one.